Hey there, Taki here. Today we're going to run our little pricing workshop together, you and I. 3 goals here: that you stop undercharging. Number 2, that you're able to raise your rates so that 3, you can make sales convert with confidence. If you want to grab a copy, then comment pricing below and I'll make sure you get a copy of the sheets. I'll give you a link so you can just download that sucker. There are 5 big mistakes that coaches make when it comes to their pricing. For each one of these, there is a fix, and I'll show you what to do. First big mistake is believing that your prospects won't pay more, that your potential clients have a cap to how much they'll spend. It's a fallacy. People will find the money for things which are important to them. I used to run a youth group out in with my wife out in Mount Druitt in Sydney, the pretty rough area, pretty low socioeconomic area. Lots of people on welfare, lots of people unemployed. The highest number of satellite dishes, new cars, big TV, and pay TV that I'd ever seen in my life. People will find money for what they're committed to. So this belief that, oh, my people won't pay, that is just the belief, and you need to understand that it's a belief, not a statement of fact. Second big mistake that coaches make when it comes to pricing is pricing based on their own self-esteem or the lack of it. You could be super confident, charge a lot. You could be underconfident and charge a little. The truth is that your price has nothing to do with your self-esteem, or it shouldn't. So we'll talk about that in a minute. I don't know which one of these is most like you. Third big mistake that I see coaches make is pricing like a mechanic. In other words, I'm going to charge for parts and labor. This is the stuff that they get, and that's worth this much, and this is how much time I'm putting in, and I'm going to charge that much. I'm going to charge by the hour or by the session. It's ridiculous and stupid. Your stuff is so freaking valuable that you can change people's lives in a conversation. You can turn someone's business around with an idea. So charging by hours or sessions, even a package of like 5, it's just dumb. Please don't do that. Your stuff is valuable, but it's not your value. Your time is valuable, but it's not your value. Don't price like a mechanic. Fourth big idea, a big mistake, is thinking that you have to ascend people. In other words, give away something free and then sell something cheap and then a little bit more and then a little bit more and then a little bit more, ascending people up. I mean, it makes logical sense. I could see the argument for it, but it's not how life works. The best buyers don't want the little thing. They want to go straight to the top. If I see a promotion for a webinar and the topic interests me, I'll message the person who's running the webinar. Mostly I don't know who they are. Like, hey, I just saw your webinar. The topic looks really interesting. What have you got that I could buy so I don't have to sit through the webinar? And they'll say, oh, well, we've got this course. I'm like, okay, cool. What's the thing after that? Like, give me the best thing that solves this problem for me right now, and I'll buy that thing. Ascension makes logical sense, but it keeps so many coaches broke. Ascension is fine if you've got a huge audience and you can use it to build a group of buyers. But if you don't have a huge audience, then you're not going to get anywhere near your goals by selling cheap stuff. Please don't buy into the Ascension myth. The last big mistake is believing that price is fixed. Like, I've always charged this much and so this is how much it should be. It's ridiculous. Your price is completely elastic. It's a made up concept. You chose a price one day and you can change it in a nanosecond. So let me tell you what the 5 fixes are for these 5 problems. Remember, the first one was people won't pay more. The truth is they'll buy whatever they want. Years ago, I heard this coach talk about the very first client he ever signed up. He went out to their house and signed them up. They ran a boarding house for pets, and he goes out there and signs them up as client. He goes, I'll come back next week and we'll do our strategy session, our plan. Comes back the next week and the house is empty. There's no furniture anywhere. There's just a couple of milk crates. And he's like, oh, are you guys redecorating? And they're like, no, we sold everything so that we could pay for your coaching. And he just freaked out. He was like, I can't accept this. He was like super uncomfortable about the whole thing. I'm just going to write you a check right now, refund the money. I'm really sorry. I don't want to put you under any kind of financial stress. And they just looked at him and they got indignant and they said, who are you to tell us what our definition of whatever it takes should be? It's a bit of a slap. And guess what? Even to now, in his top 3 most successful clients of all time, it is arrogant in the extreme, Jay Abraham would say, to assume, like to dictate to people what they can or should pay for a thing. What's the thing worth? It's worth what people will pay for it happily. People will buy what they want. If you think about a time where there was something you couldn't afford, but you did it anyway and it really paid off, you've got one. I've got heaps of those stories. Our clients have got heaps of those stories. For some people, when they work with us, like at the time, it felt like a lot, but it changed their life. They go from 10 or 20 grand a month to $1 million a year. It paid off big time. So just understand that my people won't pay. That is a belief, and you should let go of it. Number 2, second big problem was pricing based on your own self-esteem. Your self-esteem is completely irrelevant to this equation. You're either going to have super high self-esteem and maybe rip people off because you're not good yet. You just have like amazing self-confidence, or you're going to massively underprice and undercharge because of your own self-esteem. They're not buying your confidence, they're buying a result. So people hire a coach when they've either got a goal that they want but don't have, or a problem they have but don't want. And so the value is in the outcome. The price should be tied in a direct relationship between the result that you help them create. So your self-esteem is irrelevant. frankly, you're irrelevant. If they could do it without you, they would, but they can't. So they're here talking to you right now. And so the big idea I want you to get, team, is you fix nervous with service. If you've got self-esteem issues, just take your self-esteem and put it over there. It's irrelevant right now. And just get busy helping people who want help. So we just go, what's the result that we can consistently get? And we want your value to be 20 times your price. In other words, if you can solve a $20,000 problem for $1,000, you're a walking, talking good deal, regardless of your self-confidence. So value equals price times 10 or 20. That's a good framework to come from. And if you're nervous about it, then forget about your nerves and make it about them, because you're a coach and it is about them. Number 3, we talked about pricing like a mechanic, parts, labor. This is how much it costs me to deliver the stuff, and here's how much my time is worth and working. It's just a dumb way to do stuff. I want you to charge like Red Adair. I don't know if you know Red Adair, but when I was a kid, this guy, Red Adair, anytime an oil rig out in the ocean caught fire and was chaotic and out of control, they'd call one guy, Red Adair, and he would helicopter in, and him and his team would put out fires. And this guy would charge a fortune. Why? Because he's not charging for his time. Like, okay, so it took Red Adair 4 hours to put it out. Are we going to pay him 4 hours worth? No, Red Adair charges based on the cost of not solving the problem. The question you've got to ask is, what's my burning oil rig problem that I'm solving for my clients? And then secondly, how do I get really good at solving that problem fast? And you charge based on that. Does this make sense? I just want to give you the ideas. You can download the worksheet. It'll give you all the how-to and the activities to do to figure out your right price and how to transition into it. But I want you to get the ideas. I want you to charge like Red Adair. Next, I need to ascend. I need to start people low and gradually raise them up. I totally get that at a volume game, but most of the people watching this right now, probably you, don't have the kind of volume that make low price stuff make sense. And so what I want you to do is, instead of going, I'm going to start cheap and I'm going to ascend people up, think like a luxury car dealership. Nobody walks into a Lamborghini dealership or a Bugatti dealership and says, okay, well, let me just get the keyring first, and then I'll get a steering wheel and maybe some hubcaps, and then I'll buy a chassis. They don't ascend, they go straight to the top. The single best way for you to get amazing results for your clients is by doing the big thing together right now. So it's just as easy for you to sell. If you think about a sales conversation, it's just as easy to sell the big thing as it is to sell the cheap thing. It's the same conversation. It's the same 30 or 40 minutes worth of conversation. So sell the big thing, right? Business gets really simple when we've got one core customer that we're trying to help, one product we sell. Which one do we pick? The one that's going to get this person the results, and it's usually the expensive one. And that way, like I reckon in a coaching business, the magic number is 42, not because it's the meaning of life. 42 clients at $2,000 a month, that's $1 million business. Super easy. And $2,000 a month isn't even an expensive program. It's just a simple way to, like if you're getting started and you're running a group coaching program, $2,000 a month's a good starting place, right? The fifth big idea was this idea that price is fixed. Well, it's always been this much, and this is how much I charge, and I haven't raised my prices in ages. Price is a word. Just like when you walk into a coffee shop and they've got a chalkboard with the menu and the price, it's written in chalk, dude. You can erase it off. Cappuccino was $2.75. Let's rub out the 2. Let's make it $3.75. Let's make it $5.75. It's a word. You just erase it and put in a different word. When I first got started in this coaching world, I was marketing manager for a guy called David. I thought he was undercharging for what he was worth. And my job was to generate the lead, walk him through all of the pre-sale stuff, to the point where he would walk out with like a little briefcase, like a folio thing with his agreements in it. And so every time he signed up a client, what I would do is I would jump into Microsoft Word and I would change the price on page 2 of the agreement down the bottom from $1,000 a month to $1,500 a month, from $1,500 a month to $1,700 a month. And I would just kind of ratchet this thing up until he was like $5,000 a month. And so here's the thing. He would go out and he'd do the sales conversation with the prospect, and then he'd pull out the agreement that I had edited, and he'd walk people through, and by the time he got to page 2, he'd see the new price, and he couldn't freak out because I'd changed the price. And he would show the new price, which was more than he charged last week, and he would say the words, and the prospect would do what? They would say yes and sign up, and he would realize that the last 10 clients he signed up were too cheap. And so I just want you to get into your head, the price is a word. You don't need to be worried about it. So I just want to uncouple some of these weird beliefs that you might have to make it easier for you. If you're watching this right now, I'd love to know what's been most helpful for you in the comments below. And if you'd like to get a copy of the worksheets, which walk you through how to figure out the right price for you, especially focused on the cost of inaction, like what's the immediate pain, the Red Adair kind of burning fire that they've got right now, and if they don't do anything about it, what's the long-term consequence? And then on the flip side, what's the quick win you can help them get, and what's the long-term transformation, as well as looking at your own personal confidence. If you want a copy of these worksheets, just comment pricing below and we'll hook you up, okay? Hope this has been useful. Please, for the love of all that is holy, and El Taco, the patron saint of Mexican taco-loving coaches everywhere, charge what you're worth and get it. Hopefully this helps. Lots of love. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.